Early on in the NBA season, there has already been a lot of good, entertaining basketball played, and there has also certainly been a lot to take note of. We came into the year with the expectation of certain teams to sit at the top, and for the most part, those teams have looked the part, but there have also been a few other teams sneaking into the conversation that may realize they're one piece away, which brings us to today's video. Media outlet Bleacher Report just published an article proposing hypothetical trades that would turn the league's pretenders into legitimate contenders, and as always, I'm here to go through each of them, analyzing whether or not they're reasonable, why or why not each team would want to do it, and who benefits the most from it. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first trade proposed in the article is between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Chicago Bulls, and in it the Sixers receive Zach Lavine in exchange for Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, and 3 first-round picks, 2 of which are protected. After the Sixers traded James Harden to the Clippers, reports immediately started to come out saying how the team was not done making moves, and that with the haul they just got from LA, they were planning to repackage some of those assets down the line to add another piece to the team and get them back into contention. Zach Lavine immediately became a name linked with them as a result of it, and thus this trade idea comes about. Originally, when Harden first got shipped out, the worry was that the Sixers were losing a lot of the offensive firepower that James provided running the point, so Lavine made sense in that he's been about a 25-point per game scorer over the last 5 years, and his level of shot creation would be needed to aid Joel Embiid and company come playoff time. That was before Tyrese Maxey started to break out as a legitimate star talent though, and now with that knowledge, his skill set kind of overlaps with Lavine's, with both of them having similar strengths and weaknesses. The Sixers have also been playing some outstanding basketball with what they have already, ranking in the top 3 of the league offensively to start the season, along with ranking in the top 5 defensively, and if there's one thing they probably want to continue to build on, it is their defense. Neither Maxey or Lavine are very good perimeter defenders, so you have to ask yourself if the scoring boost is worth the hit to the defensive end that you would take with them sharing the same backcourt, and the team is already operating at a high level on the offensive end under Nick Nurse anyway. I obviously don't think this is a bad deal on paper at all for the Sixers, but the team's front court would be paper thin after this trade if they traded away all 3 of those veteran forwards, and it feels like the Sixers could save those draft picks to target a player who fits more into what they need. I don't think I'm opposed to this trade at all, and the Bulls would definitely be happy to get this much draft capital in return if they do choose to blow things up, but with Tyrese Maxey's emergence, I don't think Lavine is as much of a fit as he would have been otherwise. The next proposal from the article is between the Sacramento Kings and the Toronto Raptors, and in it the Kings receive OG Anunoby in exchange for Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter, and 2 first-round picks. I'll start off by saying that I understand the premise behind this offer and also love the fit of Anunoby on the Kings, but this is simply way too much to give up for him. Keegan Murray is not off to the hottest start this season, shooting just 26% from 3, but they've only played 6 games, and he shot 41% from 3 as a rookie, so it's way too early to overreact and think that the Kings, who are very high on Murray, would just give up on him like this. He's someone that they want to be a big part of their offense as a volume shooter from deep. Kevin Huerter is definitely more expendable to them though, and wouldn't mind getting off of his contract in a trade where they could add Anunoby, but then adding in 2 first-round picks on top of all of that definitely seems like overkill. Anunoby is an unbelievable perimeter defender, and defense is exactly where the Kings need to improve, but he's also on the last year of his contract, set to hit free agency this summer, so giving up this big of a package for a rental when they could just try to wait to sign him in the summer without giving anything up in that circumstance doesn't seem very wise. If the Kings can find a way to get a deal like this done without having to include Keegan Murray, then they would be all over it, but as currently constructed, this is a trade that would feel like a huge overreaction to Murray's slow start. The next proposal in the article is between the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers, and in it the Knicks receive Joel Embiid and Marcus Morris in exchange for RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Emmanuel Quickley, Julius Randle, and 5 first-round picks, 2 of which are protected. This is a behemoth of a trade idea, moving the reigning MVP of the league to the Big Apple, getting New York the superstar they've been coveting for so long. For years, the Knicks have been reportedly trying to land a superstar talent to take them to the next level, but year after year they've struck out. But that doesn't mean that they won't keep trying. They've done a good job stockpiling assets and young expendable pieces over the last few years, though, and are one of the first teams connected to every big name that becomes available on the rumor mill for a reason, so one has to believe they'll try to pull the trigger when the opportunity presents itself, which is exactly what needs to happen for this one to become a reality. Right now, things are going really surprisingly well in Philadelphia, as they're off to a 5-1 start to the season, sitting in first place in the Eastern Conference. The belief, according to most reports about the situation, seem to indicate that Embiid is content with the direction of the team and is willing to wait out the plan set in motion post-Harden as they prepare to make big splashes in next summer's free agency pool. But obviously, there's a lot of basketball that still needs to be played, and a lot can happen between now and then. If things do start to go south for the Sixers and Embiid's patience starts to run thin, then 5 first-round picks is an incredibly tempting offer that would be really tough to pass up on, especially with how few draft picks they have at their disposal in the coming years after trading so many of them away. This would be the kind of deal the Sixers take if they absolutely have to. While I don't think this one would happen this year, it is something to potentially monitor over time. And finally, the last proposal from the article we'll be going over is between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Brooklyn Nets, and in it the Pelicans receive Mikal Bridges in exchange for Jordan Hawkins, Jonas Valanciunas, and 4 first-round picks. Last year, after Bridges got traded to Brooklyn, he averaged about 26 points per game the rest of the season, and his value skyrocketed. The Nets were reportedly offered 4 first-round picks for him to reroute him at the time, and they turned that offer down because of how well he was playing. This season, Bridges has continued to look ready to take a leap as one of the best two-way wing players in the league, but I don't think 26 points per game was ever a realistic number for him to average over a long period of time, and this year he's been putting up a more modest 22 points per game, which is still very good when you combine it with his elite perimeter defense. The Nets are in a weird spot right now, with a team not necessarily good enough to contend, but not bad enough to rebuild, and they also traded away a lot of their first-round picks for the coming years over the last couple seasons, so there is belief that with Bridges' value cooling off, they could come around and be convinced to take an offer like this. Because let's be real, 4 first-round picks is a really damn good offer, and it helps them restock on their lost draft capital. The Pelicans are off to a solid start to the season and still haven't necessarily been completely healthy, so if they were able to pull off a deal like this, adding Bridges into the middle of their lineup, I absolutely think they would be as good as anybody in the Western Conference, and wouldn't think twice about pulling the trigger. It'll ultimately come down to whether or not Brooklyn sees the value in the draft capital, and if they like Jordan Hawkins as a young scoring talent though, but from the Pelicans' perspective, this is a match made in heaven. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these trades. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.